Before we get started, we wanted to thank Matchstick Golf for being our first title sponsor. Matchstick is a custom designer of ball markers based in Portland, Oregon, that was born out of its founder getting sick and tired of trying to find cool ball markers that weren't huge, heavy poker chips that didn't cost $300 on eBay. Matchstick's markers include the one-eyed alligator from Happy Gilmore, a stack of cash that will have you putting for dough. Right now, Matchstick is offering 15% off your first order at matchstickgolf.com with the code MuniciPals. So head on over to matchstickgolf.com, enter MuniciPals at checkout, tell them Big C in Ashton sent you.
How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is Big C and Ashton. We're back. What's happening, bud?
Good. The thing that's weird about this one is these days, sadly, we're never in the same place. But this is going to sound like we're an old married couple, which maybe we are. But like, I feel further away from you. Like I mean, not by miles. Like, obviously you don't live where I live, and I don't see you regularly. But you being in Chicago, I feel, I don't know, like we don't talk as much. You're busier. Like it kind of feels like we're an estranged married couple. We're seeing other people. It's like what's going on here?
The new gig has been keeping me busy. Now that I'm with Club Champion as our new master fitter out in Portland area, so the training is rigorous. I cannot lie. There's a reason why we're the Lamborghini and Ferrari dealership of golf clubs. You're definitely paying for what you get, and the amount of training and money that they put into every single fitter is astronomical. I mean, they're paying for me to stay in Chicago for an entire month, renting us cars, comping all of our meals, pretty much covering everything. I mean, it's
they flew Maggie, your wife, out this weekend. Yeah, it looks like y'all ate a lot of deep dish.
We did. We had multiple deep dishes while she was in town over the weekend. I mean,
has to.
What company do you know flies your spouse out halfway through a training?
Never.
Yeah. I mean, I have to definitely give props to Club Champion. It's more than I expected. They've gone over and beyond, the expectations that they set before I came on to them. And, I'm really excited. And I mean, they've been treating us great out here. I got to go to the Bettinardi factory out here. That was, for anybody that knows me, I am a equipment geek. If you've been listening to the pod, you absolutely know, because the first 2 months,
people know that.
Yeah,
pretty sure people know that
about the amount of clubs I rotate.
Your original idea was to do a "What's in the Bag" segment every week, and I was like, I don't like that. May apply to you. It's not really going to apply to me very much, my man.
And it already,
I had some teas this week. I added some teas to my bag this week. That's about it.
And it's already changed because I have an entire new bag.
Yep. Oh God. Well, I'm going to you're going to do a lot of the talking tonight. I'm going to kind of be the Sherpa through the conversation. So as you say stuff, I'll ask you questions. Tell me specifically about the Bettinardi factory. Tell me about that day, because I know that was really special for you.
Bettinardi factory, for me, as a guy that collects putters and absolutely just loves equipment, it was like seeing, for a nerd, it was like seeing how Star Wars was made, or like being able to sit next to the lady that wrote Harry Potter. It's just like it's absurd. The person that actually greeted us was Sam Bettinardi. So who's
the son of the founder, right?
Son of the founder, basically runs the company now. And so he gave us a personal hour-long tour of the entire factory. One thing I did learn was Bettinardi only makes about 15% of their profit off of putters.
Oh, like wedges or what else?
So they started their company as a CNC milling company that did
Huh.
manifolds for John Deere and a bunch of different CNC milled products for the government, and all these different entities. They actually utilize their machines for these specialized materials. And one thing they
What's a manifold, Chris? I
so
should know that, but what's a
a man
manifold?
of I to be honest, I am not the most, engine savvy. It is something that goes and connects to a gasoline engine that allows it to run. So don't
Okay.
I'm not going to go into depth in that because that's
We'll
not
call
my type of
it
equipment.
engine adjacent.
Engine adjacent,
That's enough.
it helps John Deere's run. So
Okay.
that's what it does.
Okay.
And
Sorry for asking that cold.
no, it's all good. And then so all the connectors that golf or club champion uses to fit all of our irons and shafts so we can do 58,000 combinations, the adapters are made for us by Bentonardi.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
So all of our specialized trademarked quick adapters that we have where we can utilize any head with any shaft of any length, we basically have them all made by Bentonardi.
So I guess you could categorize that as the 85% where they're also making profit on stuff like that.
Absolutely. So they make specialized product like that for array of different customers and things out there that might need to be CNC milled. So Bentonardi really isn't just a putter company. They produce a lot of different things. But the cool part about the tour, once we got through that part really, really fast, we got into the putters. And we got to meet each different type of staff that runs the different departments, which was really cool. So we got to see it from start to finish, where they start off with a giant, block of steel or whatever material they're using. Then we got to see it in its raw form, where they turned that block of steel into 2 putters. And then that goes to the next person who cuts the putters out into a raw form. Then it goes into the next section where they then sand them down and polish them. And then if they're a limited release or if they're a one-off or a custom, putter, like we got to see Matt Fitzpatrick's putter being made, which was super cool. And we got to see Sergio's putter in there that they were fixing for him. I didn't even know Sergio used Bentonardi putters.
So that Sergio's a TaylorMade guy.
He's been messing around with a lot of Bentonardi putters lately.
Huh.
So
interesting. I mean, I definitely remember seeing him, I think with a spider or something, but yeah, no, that's really interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? Because I mean, I think before we met, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was not really a golf gear guy and didn't know a ton, but for those listening who are not, as familiar with Bettinardi, I mean, what Chris told me was basically Bettinardi was the guy who was doing the milling for Scotty Camerons by hand before they kind of shipped that overseas. So if you're looking for, a lot of you are probably thinking like, God, man, Scotty Cameron's the gold standard. What Chris sort of taught me is like, you really want a Bettinardi these days. Like Bettinardi today is what Scotty Cameron kind of used to be. So that, in that sense, like for people who are looking for things that are, like I don't really give a shit about American made. Like apologies if if you do, whatever. But if you're looking for stuff that's more like bespoke, like Bettinardi over Scotty Cameron all day.
Yeah, I mean, for a large OEM putter manufacturer, I would say Bettinardi is going to be it. You've got your Tyson Lambs of the world, and you've got your Olsons of the world, which make the more bespoke style stuff. But for the true collectors, and especially people that really love a United States made product, Bettinardi is where it's at. And I mean, the cool thing after we got to see all of that, and we got to see, my favorite part was where all the limited releases go and where all the Hive putters go to be hand torched. And I sent you guys photos of those. They literally had 450 limited release putters that they had to hand torch until they blued them. And this guy was just sitting there one after another torching each one. Well, the other guy was hand weighting all of the Matt Fitzpatrick putters. It was just
That's
incredible
so
to
cool.
watch. And then we got the best thing that we got to do was we got to go into the Hive. So if anybody knows Bentonardi, the Hive is where they put all of their one-off, specially made, limited edition putters. And these putters range from $800 to $10,000 a putter. And it's
Who's buying those?
they sell them all day, every day. I mean, they've got collectors that come in from all over the world to buy these things. And they have limited head covers and shirts. I mean, it was one of the coolest stores I've ever been in. And then we got to see the gold vault, kind of like Ping has with all of their putters.
Yeah.
Not as immense as Ping, I will say that. I mean, Ping's got,
And that's if you win, right?
if you win,
If
you
you
get,
win using the putter.
they make a model, they take your model putter that you won with, they gold plate one, and then they actually engrave your name, the tournament, and the year that you won it. And they have it in this case. So every person that's ever played with the Bentonardi, that has won with the Bentonardi, has their putter encased in this shop, which was super, super freaking rad to be able to see. And then, you know, some of my guys literally spent their entire first paycheck on a putter. I mean,
amazing.
I walked in and there were some putters I really wanted, and then I saw the price point, and I was like, no, there's just no way. Like I personally cannot. I respect it, and I really love seeing the art. But if I'm going to buy a putter, I'm going to use it, and there's no way I'm paying $1,000+ on a putter and taking it out on the golf course. Or it's just.
But then literally, what's the point?
That's
I don't know.
That's where I'm at. Where like I can get an awesome Bentonardi at the 500 price point and be totally content with it and love it just as much as I would love one of the customs that they have in there. The one thing I will say is you also don't want to bend or adjust one of those custom putters to your specs. Like I just wouldn't want to touch it or like ruin it. So if I got on the Liloff machine and put it to my specs, I would be so scared to wreck something. So it's just, it's beautiful to see. It was so exciting to be able to go in there. They wouldn't even let me bring a camera into the Hive. We got to like take pictures and do stuff in the actual shop. But if we wanted to go into the vault, which they call the Hive, there was no pictures allowed in there. Because everything is a one-off, everything is custom made. There is no, you know, studio stocks or any of that kind of their inline stuff. It's all one-off, like handmade, you know, things, and it's incredible to see. But yeah, nothing I would have bought for myself. But a couple of the guys bought a couple $1,400 putters, and they're absolutely gorgeous. Like one got a sunset torched what was it, Freddie Couples model. So it was a Freddie Couples, like made.
Did he use Bentonardi?
Yeah. Freddie Couples, Betty. And this kid went to University of Houston, and that's where Freddie Couples went, so he had to get it according to him. So, you know, a couple of those guys spent a brick, but there was no way I was going to do it. It was a great time. I'm
proud of you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm not being condescending. I'm proud of you.
I did spend a little chunk of change. I'm not going to lie. I got a bunch of gear, but
200 isn't 200 isn't 1,400.
No, I spent 3. But
I was trying to artificially depress this for, you know. So when Maggie listens, she's like, "How much did you spend?"
Oh, she knows. She sees the bank account.
Wait, Chris, I'm curious. Like, I want to keep talking about your trip. A quick segue or a quick kind of side conversation. You don't think very highly of Tyson Lamb. I'm curious, why do you like love Bettonardi but sort of like shit on Tyson Lamb? Like what is that distinction to you?
there's nowhere you can get fitted for a Tyson Lamb putter. So if you're going to spend that kind of money on a putter, and let me tell you this, if you come in to Club Champion and you get fitted for a putter, and I put you on Sam Putt Lab, the amount of people that should be playing a blade with a plumber's neck on it is very minimal.
Is that all Tyson Lamb does?
That's pretty much all he makes. And so
it's basically the wrong putter for everybody.
Yeah, and my whole thing is like you can't just buy a craftsman style putter and think that you're gonna go lights out with it, especially if it's not been fitted for you. So
he doesn't fit it for people.
I mean, you could probably go to his studio out in, I think it's in Texas, and
Dallas,
and you could probably get fitted for it. But how many people are going to fly to Texas to get fitted for a putter? There's not one store that I know that stocks Tyson Lamb putters or even has one or two just to fit people for it. And that's kind of where I'm at with that is if you're really a true golfer and you're a gamer, you need a fitted putter. And I'm not saying, if you love the art and the craft of golf clubs and you choose to play Tyson Lamb and you choose to play Geom golf, irons and, all of these more bespoke style, like custom made stuff, hey, all for it. I'm totally for you doing it. But if you're going out there to game and shoot low, you're going backwards. You're actually hurting yourself because they're not fitted for you. They're not the right, lion loft for your swing. There's nothing that's going to be made for you. It's just made stock to stock setting and you're just going to get it. So you might as well just go buy OEM shit from Golf Galaxy and play that.
Yeah. No, and I think your line about Lamb putters is you're like, I'll have more respect for it as soon as someone takes my money with a Lamb putter, which is such a wonderful flex. I love that.
I'm just saying, Tyler Munns, talking to you. Once you take my money, then I'll stop talking trash about your boy Tyson. And you know what? I'm not talking trash about Tyson because I absolutely think his putters are gorgeous.
I didn't mean to out you.
No,
I do too.
But if I was to tell somebody, if you're going to spend $1,000 plus on a putter, I would tell you to go get fitted for a Bettinardi. I wouldn't tell you to go buy a Tyson Lamb. If you're looking for something that's going to look beautiful on your putter rack that you have at home, by all means, buy a Tyson Lamb. Add it to your collection.
Or to your point, if they offer this, just fucking fly to Dallas. Like just if you're gonna drop coin and fly to Dallas and really get custom fit.
Absolutely, yeah. If you really want one of those bespoke putters, I would absolutely tell you to go fly to their studio and get it done properly.
Yeah, I mean, like when I got fitted True Spec last year. Apologies, I didn't know you and didn't know you're not working Club Champion. But when I did that, I told myself going in, like literally, I remember after I got fit, I just handed the guy my credit card. He was like, "You want to think about this? You want to ask your dad?" And I was like, "Shut the fuck up and swipe it." Like, I'm not gonna if I'm gonna sin, I'm gonna sin boldly. I'm not gonna try to save a couple $100 here or there. And even stuff I've done that you agree with, right, where they peered my shafts, and I was like, that felt very optional, but I'm glad I didn't I'm glad I went ahead and did that stuff.
If you're a gamer, so that's one thing I would say. So SST Puring is owned by Club Champion. We purchased the company a few years ago. So every other company in the spectrum of golf utilizes and purchases those products from Club Champion. And if I'm going to tell anybody, if you're a gamer and you're really trying to improve your game, puring a shaft has got to be one of the most important things you can possibly do for your golf game. I would even tell you to buy one less club just to pay for your puring. And this isn't me getting brainwashed by Club Champion or because this is what I do for a living. It's absolutely Ashton can vouch for it. The difference from a stock shaft to a piered shaft is completely a different feel. Basically, shafts are built cylindrical. We all know that. They're round. So what happens with that is if they're not balanced correctly or put in the proper balance area, they oscillate. So if you put it in a vise and actually like pulled the shaft and let it go and let it just kind of sway there, it would actually sway in a circle if it wasn't pured. If the shaft is pured and you pulled it straight back and let it go and let it vibrate, it will vibrate exactly in a horizontal motion. So it will not oscillate, it will not rotate. Basically, what that's showing you is when you're taking the club back, the club in the shaft is forcing you, and it's putting more strain on your bottom hand to hold the club through your swing. Where if you piered it, it's much easier for you to stay on plane and continue to come through the ball at a square manner. And it's just, before I came with Club Champion, I thought puring was a crock of shit. I'm going to be 100% honest. I thought it was a useless fucking thing that they're trying to get more money out of you. And then when I hit a unpured shaft and I hit the same shaft in the same head that was pured and bombed it an extra 10 yards and hit it in the same spot within 5 yards radius of each other every time compared to the unpured shaft, I mean, it was a no freaking brainer. And so, like, if I can recommend anything to anybody, you can even get your clubs retro pured, which means like you can take them to a Club Champion or anyone that does SST puring, and they will take your clubs apart, pure them, and build your clubs back for you. And I would recommend it to anybody that is serious about their game because it absolutely matters.
Yeah. No, and that's, we'll talk about some of this stuff tonight, but super excited to do kind of a recap pod also when you've maybe in a couple months, once you've kind of are on the job and kind of some of the stuff you're learning. But I think that's great intel. So Bednardy, so what are some other things, whether it's job, I know we're sort of going to talk, you've been playing a little golf, I want to talk about Cog Hill, but give me some other highlights of you're about 3 weeks so far into your trip.
So I have gotten a full new bag, which probably doesn't surprise anybody because...
Have you ordered it yet? Because when we talked, you had not yet ordered it. Have you ordered it?
So it's all ordered. So I went with the Ping G425 driver.
Speaking of a whole paycheck.
Well, luckily they take it out of multiple paychecks. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's sick. It's like Afterpay.
Yeah, pretty much. So like you can
that's
dictate.
Actually, that's sick.
It's really cool.
That's actually really
cool. It's also
cool.
really dangerous.
It's like, why am I getting paid less and less? Everyone's like, you actually have like 19 things.
You've actually PUD'd like 7 sets of clubs, so I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god. So yeah, tell the Pip what you got.
So we got the Ping G425 LST driver head in a 9-degree. We've got the same manufacturer that you have. So VA composite. I didn't go with the Drago. I went with the Villain shaft. It just fit me really well. If anybody hasn't seen VA composites, they might be some of the coolest graphics I've ever seen on a shaft, and it's not the reason I bought them. It was just
mine is a little drag. I think it's a little dragon.
It is a little dragon on it called Drago, and
but isn't that like the villain in the Rocky movies?
It might be.
Like the Russian guy, I don't know.
It might.
I don't know.
Well,
to be clear, it was the one I did not pick it. It was the one that was best for me.
VA Composite's a cool company because it's ran by a husband and wife. They're the only employees of the entire company. The wife she does all the graphics for all the shafts, and he does all the designing of the shafts. So, and then they have them made overseas. So it's a really cool, like small mom and pop shop business, and they make incredible shafts. And VA composites are not something you're going to find at a lot of places. You're really only going to find them at your top end, club fitters.
when they're fucking expensive. My driver shaft is a $500 shaft.
They are not cheap. So, no. I will say that. And then,
but it's a damn good driver shaft. I mean, that's the one thing when you first look at my bag, you look at my shaft, and you were like, damn, okay.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And so I went with a new 3-wood. Actually, didn't go with the new 3-wood. Still have the TSI 2 head, but we went with one of the newer hazardous smoke shafts. So got that all set up, and then I replaced. You're gonna think this is batshit crazy. I replaced my 5 and 7 wood with the new Apex utility wood.
Oh no! I mean, like that may be too wood. That may be too, like, for lack of a better term, like wood adjacent for me. But I mean, I'm curious. I'm definitely curious about that club.
Yeah, so I did those with the Acura TZ6s in them. The Acura TZ6s, they're absolutely incredibly stable. I mean, I was destroying these utility woods, and I'm really excited. So anybody that doesn't know about the Apex UW, it's basically in between a hybrid and a wood. So
they came out like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, they're super new. We literally got it in. I fitted it to myself like immediately, and it was in the bag. Like, it's incredible. And then we got into the irons, and the irons are crazy. So I ended up going with Strixon ZX5s. So not the 7s like most people are going with. I went with a little bit bigger head, a little bit more forgiving.
Smart.
ZX5s with a little bit of Bryson DeChambeau flair in there, or even a Dustin Johnson flair with the LA Golf shafts in there.
Pick Dustin. Come on, man. Don't leave with the chode boy.
So yeah, into the LA Golf access shafts. I mean, I gained 23 yards.
Are those graphite or steel?
Graphite. So graphite 90-gram shafts. In a stiff, but they are very stiff, extremely, extremely stiff. But with that ZX5 head combination, I went from hitting my 6 iron I think it was 155, to hitting it almost $180. And you know me, like, that means I'm hitting my 7 iron $170, and I usually hit my 7 iron 145.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also means you're hitting your irons how far I'm hitting my irons.
Yeah.
Which, no offense to you, makes me wonder, after you fit me, what my irons might do.
I mean,
because, like, I don't know how I feel about us hitting our irons the same distances. That's annoying.
Especially when I'm still only hitting my driver 265.
Right. Yeah, that there might be some. Yeah, the irons might need a second look. Or to your point, Chris, it might actually be, because you were talking a lot about the importance of shafts. I think for my irons, it may not be the head; it may actually be the shafts. I've got very standard, kind of very, very standard iron shafts.
I was actually very blown away when I saw your irons, that they fit you in dynamic golds, because if I'm going to be 100% honest, dynamic golds
which I want you to be,
are free. Like, it's a free option for stock clubs. I mean, it's just what everybody gets free with any golf club they order. So for someone like True Spec,
because I can show you the receipt. True Spec, they charge me for those shafts.
Well, and we would too, because we would pure them, and it also includes the install.
They charge me for the shaft and then charge me to pure them.
So the way they do it, the same way we do. So everything is compartmentalized into components. So when we order clubs from any manufacturer, we do not get the shafts with them. So we only order them with the heads alone. And the OEMs don't give us a discount on that. It's like if we got a shaft in it or not. So we order the heads separate. We order all the shafts separate, grips separate. Everything is separate. And we have a 30-person build shop across the street from our headquarters that builds every single club to spec for swing weighting and everything that we fit you in. So, and it's quality check 3 times. It's absurd how much work goes into building every set in every golf club that we sell to any of our customers. And that's why we have a guarantee. So if like you need a line loft check, you come in, it's absolutely free. If you need regripping, we don't charge you for regripping. Like there's, we have warranty guarantees with all the products you buy from us. If anything comes apart or anything happens, it's all covered based on you purchasing with us. So it's worth it, but it is 30 to 40% more expensive than going to your big box retailer and buying a set of clubs. So a set of irons that cost you $1,400 are going to cost $24 from us. It's just, that's just what it is. And, but that's also because we guarantee that they're going to be built correctly. And from a guy that comes from a big box OEM or a big box store, OEMs don't know how to fucking build golf clubs.
Yeah.
They don't. And it's sad to say, because I mean, that's their entire business. But the amount of fucking clubs that we ordered through OEM that came out of spec after we quality checked them when they came into our store was out of control. Like,
well, you remember your spider putter you had where the grip was all sideways?
Yeah. They couldn't even install grips right. We got 30 TaylorMade putters in, and every single grip was crooked. Like, which is substantially crooked.
That's like, yo, guys, I know you're printing money, but have a little pride in what you're doing,
And that's
also those fucking putters are what, $400, $450,
$400 putters, and they can't even have a straight grip on them.
Yeah, because what are you gonna do? Because then if you buy a new one of those super stroke grips and put in, that's another $50, $40. Yeah, it's crazy.
Absolutely. Town. And so the price point is much higher, but the quality of build that you're getting, the quality of product that you're getting, and that's why I'm not going to ever hate on True Spec, because they are one of our competitors, but they also do it right. And even though they did upcharge it, that wouldn't have been, to be honest, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not fitting nobody in fucking True Temper anything. Because the one thing is, like, if I bring out a dynamic gold shaft to somebody that really knows a little bit more, and you'll be the first one to admit you're not the biggest equipment guy, and when you went to go get fitted at True Spec, you didn't know any better at that point either.
Part of the reason why I'm paying you is like, I just want you to, like, you tell me what's best. I'm not going to push back. I'm not going to bitch. I'm not going to moan. I don't have an opinion. Like, that's like Jack and I are really different, right? Like, Jack, like, he would prefer to be putting Callaway or Strix on. I don't give a shit. If you can tell me that this is the best thing for me, I don't care. And then we even talked with Tron about how, for me, like, the reason I think I've become a bit of a better golfer is I've really checked my ego, where it's like, dude, I mean, theoretically, can I hit a 5-iron? Sure. You know what? I really love my teeny tiny 25-degree hybrid. Like, I love being able to swing that thing, because I care, not that, Jack and I are listening, not that people don't care, Jack doesn't care about lower scores, but I care much more about optimizing myself to the millionth degree than I do about that. So to your point, I didn't know to ask that. And also too, it's like, I don't even know if we discussed that. I don't even think I don't know. This isn't about my fit. But I think it's interesting to know, to kind of learn more how these places work, especially too, because I'm sure some of our listeners, I know for me, like, if you're going to go do a full bag fit, I mean, you're either dipping into your savings account, or it's a really, 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 really big purchase. And I think giving people more context, and also more context into why they're spending what they're spending, is super helpful,
No, absolutely. And that's where, like, hey, if you're a weekend golfer, or you're just, a guy that gets out occasionally, coming to us might not be 100% worth it to you. But if you're golf sickos like me and you, spending the money and going to see a true fitter, and especially a facility that has the TrackMan setup that we have, the Sam Putt Lab that we have, and all the different technology that we can dial anybody in. I mean, we have 58,000 combinations of shaft and heads that we can build for people. Like, it's absurd. We literally can fit you in anything. And, the way we go about it is, you bring in your clubs, and we start shaft first. And I think that was one thing me and you discussed that was it baffled me when I got into training and I made a comment, coming from a big box store. I said, we were talking about different shafts, and I said, oh yeah, I really love the Ventus shaft in the Ping head. I think it's a good match. My boss immediately stopped and said, what the fuck did you say? And I said, I think the Ventus shafts work really well in the Ping heads. And he goes, no shaft works well in a Ping head. Shaft works for the person. You find the head that works with the shaft. And that shit blew my mind, because when someone comes in, let's say you come in, you have a Maverick driver. So they don't make the Maverick anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to take the closest to that. So that would be the Epic Speed at this point. So we'd take the Epic Speed and we'd play with an infinite amount of shafts till we optimized the shaft for you. That was beating the gamer that you brought in. Once we do that and we create the highest smash factor we possibly can, which smash factor is ball speed divided by club speed. So, pro smash factor for irons, if you can beat 1.38, solid. If you're beating 1.40 for drivers and woods, you're golden.
1.5 is like optimized, right?
1.5 is the USGA legal limit for optimizing smash factor.
Oh.
So if you're going over 1.5...
We were talking on No Laying Up how Rory was at 1.54 this weekend at the CJ Cup.
That's a little hot. That's a little too hot.
CT machine, get it out, baby.
So Rory might have had a little hot head going on this weekend. So that...
Well, as you've told me, I think all those guys have hot heads, if we're being honest.
So if I'm going to be honest,
we're being honest, guys. I said it, you said it.
The USGA doesn't check shit. The last time I heard of a PGA player getting in trouble was Xander Schauffele 2 years ago when he got hit for that illegal shaft.
That was at the RNA. Because the PGA Tour doesn't do it.
They really don't. And, they love, the USGA loves to bitch and moan and make all these fucking new rules and shit, but they don't ever regulate anything. So whenever the USGA says they're going to step in and regulate the distance issue, I always laugh at it, because they're going to make these fucking rules.
They might under Juan, though. I mean, they might. Mike Juan, we got to give him a chance, because he's already chopped down the driver length, and Phil's losing his goddamn mind about it. But I don't disagree with you.
They're still going to hit 300-yard bombs with 45-degree drive or 45-inch driver. That's not going to be a fucking issue. I mean, the amount of guys that are playing 48-inch drivers is 2.
I don't think it's any. Bryson tried it and it didn't work.
Exactly. But... So it's one of those things, and so what I would just say is get fit. If you're really loving your game, spend the money, get fit. It's 100% worth it.
But you got to keep going. So we did irons, and then you got to walk us through putter and wedges.
So putter was actually a sick putter.
SIK.
Yep, SIK. And it was a sick flow mallet with a plumber neck on it. So what I found out is, because what I play is a face balance putter, I have a straight back and through stroke, and I'm extremely consistent with getting that face to be square coming through impact. But if I ever do get lazy with a face balance putter, I can shut it very quickly, and that's what gives me this left miss. Where if I get something that's a little bit more of a 30-degree toe hang, 45-degree toe hang, it allows me to keep that face open through impact if I do get a little lazy or tired through a 36-hole endeavor or anything like that. So I get a little bit more consistent. And with the mallet, with the MOI being a little bit further back from the face, it allows me to keep it square through impact almost, all the time. So
that's awesome.
And the cool thing is, if you guys don't have the money to do full bag fittings or anything like that, because it is expensive, just coming in just to get fitted at Club Champion for a full bag is $400. And that's without even purchasing anything. So if you want to just get your putter fitted, I would heavily recommend it, because you will find out, I would say 75 to 80% of people are playing the wrong putter. And the way we do it, by putting, we put this device, this thing we call a triplet, on your putter that matches up with the device that we have that sits right in front of where you putt. And it can literally see any angle and where you strike it on the face of the putter, how much line loft we have to give you, dependent on how you approach the ball. If you forward press it, having to give you more loft. If you push your hands back a little bit, decreasing that loft, and really getting it so it's a perfect stroke every single time. And it'll dramatically change your game. So once we got that fitted in, then with wedges, I went with Edel wedges. So I know you're a big Edel putter grip fan.
I use a round putter grip because I listen to this sounds like people who are learning golf via YouTube or golf forums. But I listened to a podcast that Jake Hutt shared, and it was talking about the founder of Edel, and he was saying how, if you think about all of your other grips, like, you're not looking at your hands when you're trying to orient the face of your club. It's just not how you're doing it. You're looking at the face. And for me, I can be a little OCD, and I've always been a bit tripped out on, like, there's people who put kind of both of their thumbs in a straight line. There's people who do all kinds of stuff. And the nice thing about the round putter grip for me is it allows me to just put my hands on the putter however feels right. I'm not even sure I'm consistent with it, but it just allows me to put my hands on the putter grip and focus on keeping that face square. And it's done wonders for my putting, because I kind of used to get into pretzels. So I've always been intrigued by, the single length irons Edel does. Not as interested in that. But I just appreciate they're trying to do some different stuff, because I think you can probably correct me. I think they're the only manufacturer that even makes a standardized round putter grip. So, like, when I've had to regrip mine, like, even now, mine's gotten pretty slick. I just order them through Edel and then have, like, Golf Mart or something put it on. But because Golf Mart doesn't carry Edel putter grips, because nobody has a round putter grip.
No, you can only get them through Edel. They're the only manufacturer that makes a fully round putter grip. I mean, I've seen guys put regular grips on their putters, but Edel is the only one that specifically makes a round putter grip, which is really cool. And their whole fitting process for putters and wedges it
seems very in depth.
It's very, very in depth. It's absurd.
The putter, I mean, for the wedges now, you can there's weighting on your wedges and shit.
Yeah, so that was the coolest thing I liked about the wedges was on the back. There's 3 notches that have 3 different weighting in them. So you can put more of the CG towards the hosel, you can put it more towards the toe, or have it really centered in the back. So it really allows the versatility, and the amount of different grinds that they offer. It's probably the only manufacturer that rivals Volkey for wedges. So they're probably the only one that offers as many grinds as Titleist does.
Yeah.
And just the way the putter feel, or the wedges feel, and them being forged, which a lot of people don't know, and it's a big thing in golf. Everybody wants that forged feel. Sorry to shatter.
I don't think anybody knows what that even means. Like, even saying right now, like, I have no idea what a forged feel means.
You know what? You'd be surprised. The amount of guys that came into the big box and the amount of guys that come into Club Champion that want a forged iron are pretty substantial. Like, they know they want forged instead of cast. The one thing that's funny is those guys also are the guys that only want to play Volkey wedges, or only want to play the higher end wedges.
Yeah.
I hate to shatter people's fucking, window, but it's nobody makes forged wedges in the OEMs. Nobody. Volkeys are cast, motherfuckers. I hope you guys know you're paying $169 for a cast fucking wedge. So if you think you're getting that forged feel, you're not. There's not a lot of the companies out there that do.
Edel is forged?
Edel are forged. So really, it's only the high-end manufacturers that do forged wedges. So you've got like Mira, Ippon, 14, Edel. But that's about it. Everybody else is cast, like Cleveland, Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway.
And it's just crazy.
They're all
like
cast.
how much you say? How much did you say a Mira wedge is? 300, 350.
They can be between 300 and 379.
I mean, just getting
Edel's not far off, though.
Getting your 3 wedges $1,000. That's insane.
Yeah, so Edel isn't far off that either, though. You're looking 275 to 300 a wedge for Edel.
Jesus Christ, golf.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I will say there are perks working in the golf industry. So your boy definitely didn't pay anywhere near pricing of what they are, but
I certainly hope not.
They're definitely.
It's a lot of deep dish pizza.
Yeah. So I'm really stoked on the new bag. I also got a great staff bag that that you guys are probably going to make fun of me about.
Absolutely.
So I've got this really cool honeycomb Bettinardi staff bag.
You didn't tell me that.
So I didn't get it at Bettinardi. It was actually gifted to me by some people here. So, I've got this new black patent leather Bettinardi honeycomb bag that.
All I know, man, is not me, because I know you. When our ass rolls up to the tee the next time and you pull out that fucking bag with this fucking set, if you don't fucking shoot 74, people in the group are going to be like, fuck that guy. That guy is a phony piece of shit. Just give him... You're going to roll up. You're with the 14 when we're playing junior golf. The kid who comes up in the Tiger mock polo, that's going to be you.
I guess this forces me to have to play better than my handicap right now. So, hopefully all this new equipment, it's going to be a while till I get it all in. So I'll be playing the old set for a while.
And as we've talked about, you also need some time, in fairness to you. Like, I think people, including myself, I certainly did, totally undermine the time it takes to get calibrated. Yes, it's fit for you, but it takes a while to get out there and break it in and really feel like it's yours. It really takes a second.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much feel you can get in a hitting bay. I mean, it's just what the beast is. So, bringing it out on course and really getting dialed in when you're out there is a completely different game. So, yeah, I'm thinking it'll probably take me half a dozen rounds to really get them, feeling where I'm comfortable with them. So I'm excited though.
That's awesome, man.
It's probably the best set I've ever had. And I hope anybody that's in Portland.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So anybody that's in Portland or the greater, Pacific Northwest that wants to come get fitted, your boy will be in the Portland location here very shortly. So come see me or book a fitting online. I will absolutely make sure I take care of you.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to talk about Cog Hill, but anything else to share? Anything else top of mind? Or also just curious, non-golf related, how you enjoying Chicago?
Chicago's fun, man. I mean, it's been a good time. I haven't been able to experience the city too much.
Sure. You've been, for context, Chris, you've said you've been working 8 to 6 days a week. Yeah. So you've been grinding
8 to 6 days a week, and then coming back and doing, vendor certifications and all these video certification things that I got to do. So it's been a nonstop grind. But the wife did come in this weekend. We got to go downtown. We walked along the waterfront. We went over to DePaul University, had some pizza. My wife's brother actually had a full ride scholarship to play lacrosse at DePaul. So it was kind of cool to kind of see his stomping grounds and check that out. So that was really fun. And then, I got to play Cog Hill number 1. Unfortunately, it wasn't the Tiger Woods 97 win course at Dubs Dread, but
that's number 4, right?
That's number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, they unfortunately punched it a week before I arrived.
Yeah.
So we're thinking maybe we'll play it this weekend because it's been almost a month since they punched it, and I'm hoping it's cured up. because I would love to play it before we get to leave. But what I've found out is Chicago is a goddamn mecca for golf. I mean, it's absurd how many good golf courses are here.
And even the Fried Egg has talked about that a lot.
I mean, not even just talking private, because the private side is ridiculous. I mean,
yeah, just Chicago golf and shit.
With Chicago golf, Marion, I mean, you could go on for, Olympia Fields. I mean, it's crazy how many courses are out here.
Isn't Marion in Pennsylvania?
Nope, Marion's out here. There's a Marion out here.
Oh, a different Marion, not the Marion where they're going to have the U.S. Open.
No, but they have had many PGA events out at this Marion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's absurd. Like Chicago Golf Club, for anybody that's on the West Coast, Chicago Golf Club might be harder to get in than Cypress Point.
Really?
They didn't allow Michael Jordan to play at Chicago Golf Club.
That's crazy.
In his height, being in Chicago in the 90s, they wouldn't let Michael play.
Wow.
I mean, it's that exclusive. They only have 300 members total. I mean, it's the same as, it's pretty close to like Cypress. I mean, I would say between Pine Valley, Augusta, Cypress Point, and Chicago Golf Club, they might be three, hardest clubs to play in the country.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
wow.
I've talked to everybody that I work with asking if they have any ins to Chicago Golf Club. The owner of my company can't even get out there to play.
Meaning like the guy who started Club Champion.
The guy that started Club Champion, Nick, can't even get out to Chicago Golf Club to play golf.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's absurd. This guy has 85 golf stores across the country, started his company in Chicago, and can't get into Chicago Golf Club.
That's crazy.
It's absurd. I mean, the private side is insane, but to be honest, I don't think I'd need to join a private club in Chicago. I mean, so Cog Hill alone has 4 golf courses that are all public. Yeah. So, they've got number 1, they've got number 2, which is called the Ravine, and they've got number 3 and then number 4 that's got Dubs Dread. I don't know why the 2 of them are named and 2 of them aren't, and they're just numbered, but
Dubs Dread?
Dubs Dread is number 4. That's the course that the PGA used to play on, and that's the course that Tiger won in 97.
Dubs Dread. I've never heard that. Huh.
Mm-hmm. And that's Cog Hill number 4. And then you've got courses out here like Ravislow, which is a course that I'm really excited to get out to play this weekend. I'm going to do 36 on Sunday. And Ravislow is a Donald Ross track out here in Chicago.
Very first Donald Ross?
Very first Donald Ross that I ever get to play. And I'm so juiced to get out there because I don't even think your dad and Johnny has played Ravislow.
Yeah. Probably not.
And so this used to be a private club that they went public in the 70s or 80s. Old, Spanish style clubhouse. Very, very California in Chicago. Awesome. It's kind of cool. And then it's a very true Donald Ross. They haven't changed a lot. Tipped out at 62. They haven't tried to extend it or redo anything. So it's a very, very true test of what Donald Ross built. So I'm really excited to get out there. And then they've got courses like Mistwood out here, which is just absolutely incredible.
Such a good name too.
Oak Meadows, which is supposed to be amazing. Then you've got Harborside International, which is right on the water of Lake Michigan. I mean, it's crazy. And then you're so close to Wisconsin and Michigan. Like Chicago is basically on the border of Michigan. So if you ever wanted to drive to Whistling Straits, it's 3 hours.
It's not bad.
You want to drive to Arcadia Bluffs, hour 45.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's just, and Erin Hills, hour 20 minutes. TPC Deer Run, hour. I mean, it's just absurd.
It's crazy.
The courses that are on the top 100 lists of every golf magazine or anybody that's played golf, and they're just all right there. They're all within driving distance.
I guess it's just the only downside is your golf season's, 6 months a year. That's probably the big issue.
That is the biggest issue, I would say. Once winter hits out here and fall just hit really hard this week, the minute the sun goes down, cold. It gets freezing here. Like it's like 40 outside right now.
I went once stupidly in January, and I got off the train and my phone started like yelling at me that there was a hypothermia warning. And I was like, if you're outside for more than 20 minutes, hypothermia is likely. I was like, fuck this shit. There's a reason, growing up in Atlanta, it gets like 20s very occasionally. And then right now, actually, as I'm talking to you, it's, God forbid, raining in San Francisco. And it's like, oh my God, it's 52 and raining. And like, that's about as bad as it can get here. So I'm gonna take a, to quote my dad, I'm gonna take a Pasadena on living in Chicago. But would love a September golf trip to Chicago sounds like it may be something for the MuniciPals in the future.
Oh, absolutely. And having my family out here in Darien, Illinois, which is a suburb right outside Chicago, we'll definitely have to come out and play with my family. So it's
that'd be awesome.
It's a great place. But COG number 1.
Yeah. Well, you got to lock in on talking about COG number 1. So tell me about it.
COG number 1, oldest course out in Cog Hill, built in 1929.
Well, Chris, real quick, take a step back. What does Cog Hill mean? Is Cog Hill like a hill that's named Cog? Like, do you know?
I actually do not know the origins of the name of the golf. I don't even want to call it a golf course. It's like a golf property that has 4 different courses.
It's got 4. Yeah.
And I mean their driving range is absolutely insane too. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to a better driving range in my life. Their practice facilities are a little lacking outside of the driving range though. They just have kind of a very small chipping and putting green right next to the driving range, and then every course has a driving range or a little putting green next to it. So a little lacking on that side of things. And they, by Dub's Dread, they do have, a couple bunkers and a practice chipping green and stuff over there. But for how big the property is, you would anticipate that they'd have like an entire section just for the public to come and practice at. So that was a little lacking, but number 1 was really cool. So the amenities were incredible. Really, really good.
Like, what are we talking about?
So the clubhouse is built in 1929, still standing original clubhouse. It is beautiful. When you roll up to it, it kind of feels like a Miami, Florida vibe. They've got like palm trees and beautiful flowers everywhere, and grand entrance when you walk up into the clubhouse, and they've got this beautiful ballroom inside, and the patio where you order food and drinks is, all these white tables and chairs. And it's just a really cool kind of like, not Chicago vibe. You kind of feel like you're at a resort, and it's really, really, a nice, inviting feeling. And everybody was welcoming and warm as the employees. So we got there.
Food, drink, any good food or drink?
So we got there early because I wanted to get breakfast. So the food was fantastic. So I had a couple of the guys had some breakfast wraps, and I had just your basic eggs, bacon, and toast kind of breakfast, and super reasonable pricing. I think it was $11 for my breakfast, and it was like $6 or $7 for their breakfast wraps. So like really reasonable. Yeah. Beers were $6, mixed drinks were $8. Not trying to gouge anybody. They were definitely accommodating.
Mixed drinks for $8 is a really good deal.
Really good deal. So, and the bartender was sweet, nice, nothing bad to say there. I absolutely loved everything. And then when we went into the clubhouse, the only thing I would say for a place that has the reputation it has, they could up their merch game a bit. It was
like not enough, or like not swaggy enough, or like not up to date with modern trends, or what do you mean?
not up to date with modern trends. Like they had the basic PCG head covers that has the logos all over it that you see at every golf course, and
Hate those.
yeah, it's just everything was very basic. Everything was either Nike or Adidas with their logo on it. It just there wasn't anything
Mm-hmm.
cool, no Imperial, no, none of the cool brands out there. And
That's got to be Imperial.
yeah, I mean, you got to have Imperial. There wasn't a visor in any pro shop.
That offends me, but just part of the big head visor squad over here is just not represented.
Well, and it's sad because they have a sick logo. It's like a little caddy kid. I mean, the logo's really
yeah,
cool.
I know the logo. The logo's awesome.
Yeah, and
that's what people don't realize. When you have a dope logo and you're a cool golf course, put it all over everything, and people will buy it. I don't get it.
they had it on a lot of merch. It just wasn't great merch. Like it was either really expensive FootJoy shit or it was Nike and Adidas stuff, and it was just like it looks like they just called a company and said, "Hey, put our logos on a bunch of random shit."
Yeah.
So that was
we'll save a little coin. It means you can spend that money on Bettinardi stuff.
And I did buy a towel. They did have a cool towel with the Chicago flag on it, and then it had the Cog Hill logo kind of spattered on the other side. So I did pick up a towel.
That's cool.
And then I got a Nike hat that I won off of the group that I played. So we played a little team match out there, and me and my teammate won. So we got to pick hats at the end of it. So that was pretty sick.
I love that. So the amenities sound good. So let's kind of keep going down our list. So condition. I saw the picture. It looked very green.
Conditions were a good 7.5 out of 10. I'm not going to give it.
Well, maybe the picture looked like it was like fucking Wizard of Oz shit.
So the fairways and the rough and the tee boxes, excellent.
Oh no!
The greens
weren't great.
Were trampled.
Oh, fuck.
So the problem in Chicago is all their greens are really soft. So if you play in the middle,
bent grass probably.
Yeah,
wet bent grass.
Wet bent grass. So if you play in the middle of the day or afternoon, and they've had nothing but stacked tee times, it was just you can see every footprint of every person that's walked across the green.
Yeah,
and I'm not. And you know what? I will give mad props to the public golfers of Chicago, repairing their divots and really doing their part on the greens. That was really nice to see.
It was the footprints on the wet. Wow. Yeah, that's something we don't experience very much out here.
And you can see your ball move from the footprints too. So that was a little I wasn't stoked on. And
how do they fix that? I mean, that's probably a question for Super, but like, how do they fix that?
Extra sanding, extra punching, extra compacting. I mean, or
just to make it tighter,
make it a little tighter. I'm sure Dub's Dread is probably a little bit firmer on the greens.
Yeah.
So what I was told from everybody, number one is more the municipal course of Cog Hill.
And I'm glad you played it, because we would be disingenuous. If you had, God forbid, played Chicago Golf and not Cog Hill 1, it wouldn't be the MuniciPals.
Had to play the Muni of Cog Hill.
Amazing. Okay, so condition. Okay, that's helpful. So really good fairways, and also, how are the bunkers? Enough sand?
No. That was
it's a plague.
Also
it's a plague.
Why I rated it a 7.5. So they lost
it's an epidemic.
2.5 points because the greens were trampled and the bunkers were inconsistent. So you'd be in one and it would feel like it had very fluffy sand. You'd get into the next greenside bunker and it was hard as a rock. So
that's tough.
That was the thing that irritated me, was just the inconsistency in bunkers. Like if they're hard as a rock all the way through, I can figure it out and play them. If they're fluffy, I can figure out and play them. But if I'm splashing fucking bunker shots on one hole and then I try to hit the same shot on the next hole and it fucking rockets over the green, it's infuriating.
Yeah. Okay. So a bit of a mixed bag on conditions, but it is municipal. So what was we talked about value for area. Well, rate plus value for area. So what did you pay? And I mean, are not going to expect you to know the Chicago golf scene, but any comments on value for the area?
So because I'm a psychopath, I mapped out the entire Chicago area of every public golf course that's here.
I'm not surprised.
And so I looked at all the rates, and they are a very, very good rate for the area. So the area averages it's on the pricey side for public golf. So if you're looking to play,
We're talking like hundo.
we're talking about $80 to $100 with cart for pretty much every good public golf course out here.
The ones you mentioned, like Mistwood, like these kind of places.
Mistwood, Ruffled Feathers, most of the Cog Hill courses, that kind of stuff. So we played Cog Hill number 1 for $69 with the cart. So
it's pretty good.
I thought it was a pretty good deal, and so that was a fun day, because I think for $69 at a 7.5 rating with a little bit of issues with the bunkers and greens, I thought it was a fine deal. And the track layout, fantastic.
Yeah, layout was next. Tell me about it.
So layout was really good. It was your classic old school track, lots of dog legs, not small greens. That's what I was a little shocked about. For a course that was built in 1929, not to have circular, turtlebacks like I'm used to, I was pretty blown away with like the size of the greens and the undulation. It was really nice to see for an older course. I don't know if it's been renovated over the years and maybe they've expanded them, but for it being built in 1929, I thought the course was a really fun and interesting layout. And it's cool because it intertwines with number 3. So number 1 and number 3 kind of like cross over each other. And they've got this turn house that you hit on 4 different holes. So it's really nice.
I love that.
Yeah, great little turn house with some solid hot dogs. Good 8 out of 10 hot dog.
So they're not filleting shit or anything?
Not filleting. Right on the warmers. Just steaming them. Good little steam hot dog. Not toasting the buns. Perfect little mix of a hot dog.
Well, I'm certainly glad you had a good hot dog. But going back to layout, I'm curious, and again, I don't know if this is a fair question, but was there any themes, like a lot of dog legs, was there any themes that you kind of know? Because I view kind of courses built in 1920s as kind of what you mentioned, 60, 300, lots of dog legs, usually kind of in the same direction. It's not a negative. It's just kind of like, that's what I assume, but I'm curious what you saw specifically.
So lots of dog legs, especially in the par 4s. But they weren't in the same direction. They really gave you a mix of left and right dog legs. And then the par 5s were really challenging. And the par 3s probably are what put in the most challenge, because there wasn't a par 3, I think, under 175 yards.
Wow.
So for being tipped out at 6,200, and most of your par 3s were between, I think one of the par 3s was 235 yards, and I hit a fucking driver.
Damn.
Yeah. So having that was really cool.
I'm curious, on those par 3s, was there hazard, or is it more like, was the air quotes hazard the length, or was there also hazard included on that as well?
Most of them were just length. There was the 174 did have a lake in front of it, so you had to hit over that. But most of them were just really long, straight ahead bunkers surrounding the green kind of deals.
So what I would kind of think of is more like, I mean, again, I'm not sure it's classic architecture, but that's kind of a more classic par 3 of like length, bunkers. Yeah. You're more standard, difficulty with length more than hazard difficulty. Yeah.
And
okay.
Really gettable par 4s as well, which were nice. Even when they were dog legs, they were only like 320, 340 on some of them. And the trees were short enough where if you were a bomber, you probably could Bryson DeChambeau it over the corner if you needed to. So
especially if you got LA golf shafts like you know.
Didn't have them at that time. We'll see what happens when I get them out on the course. But
and then how's the pace, Chris?
Pace was a little slow. So we finished.
Remind me when you played. Was it like 10 a.m. on a Saturday?
We played 11 o'clock on a Sunday. So I'm going to give them a little credit there. We did play it about 5 hours. So a little bit long.
Yeah.
I would have been totally content with a 4.5 hour round.
I bet.
But we had this one group in front of us that had their kid with them, and he was running all over the place, and I couldn't even believe the starter allowed that.
Yeah.
So that was the only bummer. Luckily, they were gone by 9, and then we just caught up to the group in front of them real quick by I think 11th hole.
That's tough. We're gonna do in the next couple of weeks here. We're gonna do a podcast about the day I had with producer Jack, our buddy Rick, and Nick. We're gonna have a couple guests on as well and talk about our Northwood Bodega day. But there was one hole, number 4, that really hard hole at Bodega that's uphill. It's just a really hard par 4. In front of us, there was 2 husbands and their wives or partners or whatever. And to be clear, Chris and I are both extremely supportive of women on the golf course and, our partners being on the golf course. But this was one where the men were doing a lot of instructing. And on top of that, they were quite literally, like they say on the back of the creek, a scorecard. They were putting and putting their marker down and looking back and looking at it from both sides, just acting like they're putting for, the fucking Masters, right? But on number 4, the lady hits it almost on the ravine. She's walking down the hill and we're kind of she's gonna fall. She literally might fall. She gets down and tries, and then Rick goes, "Oh no, she wants a different club." She climbs her way back up, walks all the way up back to the cart path, gets a new club, walks on, and it was to the point when she's going down on her ball, she had to be careful. She was going to fall down the ravine. It was just a tough scene. So we didn't get to finish. I mean, sure enough, we cut it close. We teed off at 2:20 and it got dark at 6:40. We only got to play 16 holes, but yeah, just pace of play is just kind of it's its own pandemic. Not nearly as serious as other stuff, but it's its own pandemic. But well, cool. Last question, and my laptop is actually about to die. Favorite hole?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one. Favorite hole probably, I think it was 14. So it was a slightly uphill par 5. And it was just kind of a really picturesque hole. You kind of see a lot of the golf course from it. And I might have it wrong. It was 14 or 15. But it was one of the two. In great uphill par 5, wide open fairway, fun green that kind of undulated back to front, and it was just really inviting. And then 18 was really cool because it had trees that kind of came in on each side, and the tee box was set back a little bit, and you kind of had to hit it through the chute, then get it onto the green.
Love a good shoot hole.
It was really cool. And the chute was about 200 yards out. So you kind of had to hit it between this, little section just to get it past. And then you were able to hit it onto the green. That I really liked 18. 18 was really fun. But those
nice.
are probably my 2 favorite holes on COG number 1. And then this weekend we're playing Oak Meadows and Ravislow. So
beautiful. Well, my homework assignment for you, Chris, I'm telling this to you live. I love you to death. You have to remember one golf hole when you go play. I know you're not taking pictures. I know some of the stuff. When I ask you next time what your favorite hole is, you need to have for sure it's that one. There's that one place you played with your dad where to be honest, it was so forgettable you couldn't remember any of the holes.
Yeah,
we'll let that one kind of die in the
place
back.
wasn't great.
I'm asking you, please try to remember one hole. But again, you did it. But like, I'm gonna ask you every single time you play, what was your favorite hole? I need an answer. The people need to know.
I should have been more prepared. It definitely was 18, just because of the way it looked, because of the shoot, because of it being a gettable par 4. It was a really fun hole.
That fits a lot of criteria. It's a lot of buzzwords.
Yeah. I really dug that hole.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. Well, Chris, thank you for making some time. To be clear for our listeners, this is not going to age well, because by the time y'all listen to this, the Braves might be in the World Series, might be out of it. I don't know, but we're recording on a Tuesday because the Braves played early. The Braves are playing afternoon games, as I think you probably hear my next door neighbor is taking a shower. But yeah, so thank you for making time on a Tuesday. I know you need to go to sleep, so get some good sleep, eat some pizza for me, and I'm excited to talk to you soon, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Take care.